Now that I have added the views to my sheet, I want to add some dimension into my shape. So I want to zoom in a little bit using Control Page Up, and of course I need to pan. So this is the view that I want to add dimensions to that. I go to Insert menu and go to Dimension, and you can see that different types of dimensions are available here. The simplest one is the dimensions. By clicking on this, I will go and click on some line. You can see that by clicking on the line, there is a dimension added to my shape like this. If I click on the dimensions again, I go to dimensioning and select dimensions here. Now I'm going to click two lines, and two adjacent line is going to be selected, one here and the second one here. Now by clicking on this, you can see that the angle is going to be added here. This is kind of automatic dimensioning. Now I want to have different types of dimensions, so I go to Insert menu and go to Dimensioning. Here under Dimensions, I have chain dimensions, and this is very interesting type of dimension. I click on this and click the first point or first line. I prefer to have lines here. First line is going to be selected, second line is selected. You can see that the dimension is going to be added, but it is not finished yet. I click on the third line, click on the fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh line, and I want to put the dimensions here. So I click on here. You can see that there is a chain of dimensions added to these lines, and this tells me that between different types of different lines, how much distance is going to be there. So I added this here. I want to add some other type of dimensions here. So I go to Insert menu again, go to Dimensioning, and this time I'm going to select Cumulated Dimension. Now you can see that by adding the cumulated dimensions, I have different type of dimensions applied to my shape. I first click on the first line, again the second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and the last line. And you can see that the dimension is not going to be different. You can see that the first point is going to be the point 0, and from that you can see the distance of other lines to the first line, and this is added to my shape like this. So I'm going to add another type of dimension here, and that's again an interesting one. That is a stack dimension. I want to show it here. By stack dimension, you have the same kind of dimension that you have used by in cumulated. But let's see this. I click on here, the second line, third line, the fourth line, fifth, and sixth, and now I want to put them here down, and let's pan down. You can see that still I have the same thing as the accumulated dimension, but this time the dimensions are going to be inserted separately. This is very interesting type of dimension that I like to have. So let's go to Insert and go to Dimension. You can see that other types of dimensions are available. For example, these are the specific dimensioning that you can use instead of using the dimensions that goes and tries to find the type of dimensions that you need to add. You can go and select the type that you want to. For example, I want to select angle dimension. Here I click the angle dimension, I click on this line and click on this line. It tells me and gives me hints that I need to draw, and now the third click finishes the angle dimension. I go to Insert menu and go to Dimension again. The other type is radius dimension. I click on this and click on a circle. Now the radius is going to be added inside or outside. I prefer to add it outside. Now these are the specific type of dimensioning, and these are used deliberately to add the dimension to your shape. I can add radius or diameter. Now of course I can have some chamfer dimension. For example, I click on this. I do not have a chamfer here. I just prefer to select this as a chamfer. You can see that I can put the chamfer dimension, for example, here, and now it tells me that there is a 40 by 30 dimensions added to this chamfer. That means that it has 40 in one direction, of course this is the direction, and 30 in the second direction, and this gives me the chamfer. Let's go to other type of dimension and see what they are look like. Thread dimension is used for the holes. I do not have any hole on my shape. And coordinate dimensioning is selecting a point and seeing the dimensions from the axis. And hole dimension table adds a table to my shape that gives me information about the hole that I have added to my shape. I do not have any hole in my shape, so I need to create one if I want to have this. Now I have technological feature dimension. I'm not going to talk about this in basic lessons. Of course, I can edit the dimensions that I have here, and I can add some tolerancing to my shape. Now the next thing I want to show you is generating the dimensions automatically, and for that I need to have added some constraint to my shape. And you know that I had only one constraint in my shape. Let's go to part body, and you can see different sketches that I have used. I want to double click on the sketches. That takes me to the sketching environment. You can see that I have not added any constraint to my shape. I need to add some dimension constraints. For example, I want to have an angle here. You can see the angle is this much. I want to add some dimensions here like this, an angle here by clicking on this and clicking on the other one. You can see the angle here. Again, I want to add some dimensions to these and here, and I'm not going to add constraint to every line. You can see that this tells me that you are over defining, so I select this and add some angle here because I guess this is important. And of course some dimensions I should add here, here, and an angle. And of course I'm adding too much dimensions. Let's exit my sketch. Now I click on sketch 2. This is the sketch that I created here. I select the, for example, angle, and I add only one dimension here. You can see this. I exit my workbench. Again, I go to sketch 3. I want to add only one thing here. This is the radius of this arc. And I exit my workbench and go to sketch 4. I want to add just one dimension, and that's the radius of this circle. Every other circle has the same dimension. Of course you can add more dimensions here, but I guess these are okay. So I save everything here. Now that I have added these dimensions, I want to go to drafting environment. I go to drafting environment. Now it tells me that which type of profile I need to use. I click on OK to select the default profile. Now you can see that this is added to my shape. Now I go to insert menu, go to generation and select generate dimensions. Now that you have added this, you can see that the shape is selected here, and the constraint that I have added, for example the sketcher constraint, is going to be taken into consideration here. So I click on OK. Now you can see that every dimension that I have added to my shape is automatically added to my shape. Now I click on OK here. Now you can see the dimensions are added, generated, or created automatically. But these dimensions are the dimensions that I added to my sketches. Now I press Ctrl Z once to get rid of them. I want to show you something else. Let's do something here. I go to insert menu and select the generation again, and this time I'm going to add the dimensions step by step. So I click on here. Again, it tells me that it is going to use the sketcher constraint and 3D constraint. I have not added any 3D constraint. I have just measured constraint and sketcher constraint. It tells me that the number of constraint is 15. You can see the number of constraint here. I click on OK, and it tells me that I am going to add the dimensions to your sketch, but I'm going to do that one by one. So if you want to add, some timeout between the dimensions, you can add it. I'm going to have dimensions added in 1 second of time. So I click on play. You can see that every 1 second a dimension is added to my shape like this. And whenever I'm done, if I want to click to the end, I can click here, and every dimension is added, instantly. I click on OK, you can see that the dimensions are generated automatically. So this is the generation of dimensions automatically here. And of course, you can have a bill of material if you have added material to your shape. I have not added anything yet. You can have annotations, for example, if you want to have some text here somewhere. If you want to have some symbols, you can do this. I'm not going to talk about these right now, but I'm going to talk about them in advanced lessons of Catia.